Quickly, I want to talk to you about some of the crowds last night. Have you heard the president talk about how big the crowds were? Here, of course, Twitter, abuzz with it. Republican Twitter showing us images like this. Huge, huge crowds. Look at those people outside of where the Cleveland Cavaliers won the NBA championship in 2016. That is not the Trump rally, even though it was put out there as if it was that. It doesn't look at all like Arizona, but that was the kind of message that was going around, when in fact the Trump rally sizes looked a little bit more like this. Here are some of the images of what was really going on, but there was no basketball being played. There were, however, protests outside, and some of them got a little ugly. Trump, in a way, in those first remarks, I think, and you can play some of it behind this, but so got to talking about those people outside almost like he continues to incite, as he did during the election, this kind of activity. He loves when it happens, and this is what's happening outside afterwards. Protesters, and some of the backlash was pretty harsh as well.
Yeah, so the two different issues. One is the memes that the Republicans are putting out. So the conservatives are putting out that picture of the Cavaliers stadium pretending that it was the Trump rally from yesterday. And then ironically, they'll go call everybody else fake news. It's just projection. It's a way to muddy the water. They know that what they do is lie after lie. And then they know that if they accuse the other side of lying, you'll be confused enough to call it 50-50. It's actually, in that sense, a smart strategy. Now, when it comes to the reaction here from the protesters of Trump, by all accounts, the cops did the pepper balls that they threw in there, which sounds funny. When people try to move the barricades, the protesters did after Trump is done. Well, if that is accurate, I side with the cops. When you've got the president, as much as we dislike him, he is the president and he's in the building, and you've got a large crowd who fervently dislikes him trying to move the barricades out of the way, and even if you're not worried about the president, you've got the president's supporters coming out. That's a potentially really ugly situation. Now, as to the amount of force being used, I have no way of judging that, right? I don't know if that was too much, too little, etc. I don't think it was too little because it worked. But don't move the barricades. That's a really bad idea.
Having been in those situations before, covering them, and as a protester, sometimes they use the excuse of you've moved the barricades and you're in a situation, and we covered this in January. I was at there was a protest in front of Trump Tower in New York City where all of the protesters were being contained in an area, and the reporters in the same area, and they couldn't move. And the barricades were moving because there were like 400 people in a block that were being contained, and so they're moving, and it escalates that way. Granted, the New York City police, which is by no means an example for how you handle crowds, and they have their own issues. I think they're a little bit more used to this than the Arizona Police Department, which I worked in Arizona. I did a lot of campaign work there. That's a city, the mayor is a Democratic mayor, Mayor Stanton. They held events prior to Trump coming out where they had all these Democrats lined up, elected officials, Ruben Gallego, representative, giving speeches. So they were prepared for this. I wonder if this was the state police or the city police. I can't really tell, because that actually does play a factor into this kind of stuff, how you handle protests.
But we haven't seen this type of reaction to presidents in a very long time. I mean, probably since George H.W. Bush, after going into Afghanistan and Iraq, and even then it was different than the tenor here, and it wasn't everywhere, which doesn't mean it shouldn't have been. But so this kind of thing happening where the president is inside giving this glorious speech to these sycophants is it's pretty amazing.
Let me just one last thing on this. Look, I'm not on both sides of the issue. I'm trying to thread the needle on being
both sides, many sides.
Many sides do. No, on what is the right and appropriate reaction.
Sure.
So Nomi is clearly right about the situation she went through, and that does happen from time to time. At the same time, those cops got to be thinking, oh my God, look at what happened in Charlottesville. I have got to maintain order here. And I've got pretty sizable crowds on both sides. Maybe they're not as large as Trump makes them out to be, or the Republicans do, but you got a decent sized crowd on Trump's side, and certainly a decent sized crowd of protesters. If those guys meet, we're gonna have mayhem. So that's a really tough situation for the cops to be in. So let's keep it real on that. Now, on the other side, I will say, generally speaking, the cops in America have an enormous right-wing protester bias. What I mean by that is, if you've got right-wing protesters, time to put on the kids' gloves, right? Oh, okay, wait. Bundy guys, they've got guns and they're pointing it at our heads. Well, let's nice and easy. Nazis rallying, they should protect their right to march, even though it's maddening and infuriating, but it's a free speech issue, and the courts asked them to do that in Charlottesville. Having said that, my God, kids' gloves all around. The next day, the kid shows up and he got kicked out of his college. I don't think he should have, but to honor the Confederacy, he's got a giant long gun on him and a handgun. And as the cops are escorting him out, and he didn't do anything wrong, and the cops are just trying to protect him. But they let him in the cop car with the gun.
Oh my God.
Like, there's no way a black guy is getting let into a cop car with a gun when people that were aligned with him, he didn't do it, okay, but ideologically aligned with him, just killed someone the day before. There's no way, right? So every time there's a left-wing protest, here we go, no problem, batons, pepper gas, etc. Right-wing protests, oh, be careful. So, I mean, almost every time. So that's also the reality of America. If you like this video, you probably like independent media. The best way to support independent media, become a member of the Young Turks. tytnetwork.com/join.